Really? That'll work? Let's see. Hello, friends. So that little intro was an aha moment. Lori Holt did a Sew Your Stash video recently, and this video is not meant to be a tutorial. If you want a great tutorial, there is no one better to watch a tutorial than Lori Holt. And you'll see all different sizes on how you can sew this particular. Basically, it's an 8-pointed star. Now, I didn't make very good fabric choices in this, but it's a proof of concept that you can take 2.5-inch patches, little squares, and put them together and make a sawtooth star without having to make half-square triangles. That's always been my big bugaboo. Half-square triangles, getting an ink pen, drawing the diagonal. You don't have to do it. She's got some great tools, which I want to buy her seam guide. But if I did this and made better choices and put light colors in the corners and more contrast in the points, we got ourselves a beautiful 8-pointed star. Now let me show you the magazine cover of what got me super interested in this last year. But I did not have the brain power or the making scrappy quilts is hard. This one was not too bad because it's all one background, and then you can use the colors to speak to you and trying to pick in the same value. I took a class by the woman who made this quilt. It's nothing but those 8-pointed stars and fabric choices. Her name is Diane Harris, and she teaches a class. I did take a class from her last year, and now I want to put all of those concepts into practice. But her quilt is in this issue of American Patchwork and Quilting, issue 177. Her quilt, though, uses the half square triangle where you draw a diagonal, all that. Here is her name and the inside of the magazine. Love this. I love this. Sew Your Stash. Lori Holt really, really, really wants you to do that. But if I had a stash like Lori Holt, it would be easy, right? But we can do anything with our stash. And she has that particular star if you need printed directions in her Scrappiness is Happiness book. But it looks very different. Let me find the pattern and you can see how different the stars can look. It's here. It's in the patchwork flag. And she points that out in her Sew Your Stash video. This is the same concept. And if you look, she uses scraps just in how she makes her color choices. So if you need help with that, take Diane's class. They're online. They're easy to do. Stash Bandit is the name of her website. But I thought, I have never done a leader ender project. And I thought this would be perfect. You have 2.5-inch squares. You have a big pile cut up. Now, I do not pre-cut and store in baskets. And I'll tell you why. I have a couple pieces that have been pre-cut and stored in baskets. And look, I don't like how worn these edges get and how old they look. I like the fresh, crisp and I'm afraid that they'll get weak. It's probably my own bias or anxiety, but they feel weak and old and stringy. I hate sewing with that. But if you have pre-cuts, they generally have a pinked edge. And so what I did is I had some pre-cut jelly rolls that I went ahead and cut into 2.5-inch squares. Now I'm going to do several different piles of darks and lights. And I'm going to do a better job at making sure these go in the darks because they read dark. When I made my little proof of concept, I realized what I thought would be a great contrast. This is not a good. This one would look better in here. Same with here, no contrast. So you could do lots of ideas like, what if I have a whole bunch of hot pink jelly rolls? What if I do several stars with hot pink points? Try not to get two of the same ones better. I think scrappier is scrappier though. I'm thinking of just doing darks and lights as a leader ender. Well, what is a leader ender project, you might ask? Bonnie Hunter was the person who used this phrase first. And that is when you start a seam, a lot of us will use like a scrap piece, and because you'll have your tension will be better and you won't have the edges here go chunk down into your bobbin. My machine does that. And so sometimes you have to start way down here, right? And no one likes to do that. Well, if you're doing a leader ender project like this, it won't matter so much because there'll be lots of cross seams to catch it, and you'll have a better seam. Like when I do all of the joining of these stars, I can use these as leader enders, and then when I get 4 patches, I can make 4 patches as leader and enders. And then next thing you know, it's like you've sewn 2 quilts when you have finished your top. Now, I've always gotten confused before, but I thought this is so simple. This would make a great leader ender. And then you could practice your layout or see how it looks, make decisions, with your leader and ender project when you get your top done that you're working on is your main quilt. So I have to compartmentalize it, the main quilt and then the leader ender project. Bonnie Hunter has tons on Scrap Savers where she actually talks about cutting different sizes. So does Lori Holt in the book. It does a whole section on the Scrap Saver system. And saving them is 2.5, 3, 4, whatever. Also, I don't like doing that. I think it takes too much time and I don't like weak edges. So give me your opinion about that in the comments below. Does pre-cutting all of them and storing them in bins make for weak edges? I don't know. That's my bias. So the other thing I wanted to tell you is I have made a decision, I think, about what I want to do with this project. So we'll move on to how I'm going to incorporate the beginning of my leader and ender project as I finish this top. I'm going to sew all of these together, and that's how Lori did it in the Scrappiness is Happiness book. But she had enough of, say, her background, which mine would be yellow, that she put a thin strip of a bold blue and then another strip of that background. Well, I don't have any more of that background, and I had enough for 13 blocks. Yeah, 13, not 12, not 16, not 15, but 13. So the odd man out is getting pulled from the top. And let me show you a couple of ideas I've had from my stash for using as a border. So I think I'm going to use this orange, or I may go through my stash and look for something else, but I like this color to be a thin, probably 2.5 or 3 inch wide strip. And I have enough of this funky blue with the yellow gold in it to be an outer border at maybe 5 inches. So I think that's what I'm going to do, because it just looks like unfinished with no border like this. And I thought I have enough, and these might make a great way to make the center pop. And I have enough orange and blue in this quilt that I think it will tie it together. So that is this week's video. If you have a chance, go look up Diane's website. I'll put a link in the show notes in the description below about this, because this got me all excited about making these sawtooth stars and playing with layout and color. Lori Holt has a tutorial in the fabulous Scrappiness is Happiness book. I'm working my way through this book and making scrap quilts to bust this stash, which is a wonderful thing to have, because a lot of it I inherited and it was a gift, and I'm putting my gift to good use, making some simpler quilts. As you know, a couple of years ago during the pandemic, I started Dear Jane. Then I got COVID and my brain says, no, that's too hard. We're going to go simpler, eye-popping quilts, bust the stash, and check out those 2 accounts have a blog, and Lori Holt has a blog and a website. So give me some ideas on what you think about pre-cutting using Scrap Saver systems by pre-cutting your fabrics in different bins and different sizes, as well as making a leader ender project while you make a main quilt project. So thanks for stopping by. And I also want to thank Brenda, who has an account called Conquering Mount Scrap More with Brenda. And she gave me a shout out. I want to welcome all the people who stopped by and have subscribed. Thank you very much. I'm working my way to 1,000 subscribers, and I really appreciate the kindness of the quilting community here on YouTube. So thanks again, everyone, and let's quilt on. Have a wonderful week.